Hello everyone. So today we are going to learn about ROODS approach. So ROODS approach, it is given by Margaret Roods in 1930. So there are three main principles on which the ROODS approach is based. First is the motor output is dependent upon the sensory input. That means whatever sensory input is given, so it will produce the motor response. Second, motor response follow a normal developmental sequence. So, as it suggests, normal developmental sequence in the ontogenic pattern we will see in later slide what is it. So, development will occur always in normal developmental sequence. And third, the psychic, somatic and the autonomic functions are interrelated. So, all the psychic, somatic, the autonomic function related to sympathetic, parasympathetic are interrelated to each other. Now, why tone is important? So, tone can range from hypotonic to hypertonic. To perform any given task, it is important for the muscle to have a certain amount of tone. For example, for postural control of trunk muscles, the tone should be there in proximal muscles. Suppose for performing any precision movements, for example ignition of car or eye hand coordination, precision, dexterity in the hands, writing, etc., it will require a different amount of tone in different muscle to perform a coordinated movement. So for all of this task, normalization of tone is very important. So how the tone is regulated and based on what the movement is performed. So first, there are muscles have different duties. So there are two types of muscle, light muscles and heavy muscles. So the heavy muscles are usually the proximal muscles we will see in detail, and the light muscles are the distal most muscle. The heavy muscles will be working for the stability, whereas the light muscles will be working for the mobility. So now differentiating the light and heavy muscles. So first the heavy muscles. The heavy muscles is has they are proximal muscles. So they will be for the maintenance of posture and holding to maintain a posture. Then light muscles. Light muscle main function is to carry out the distal or skill movement. Heavy muscles are usually the deeper muscles and the light muscles are more superficial muscles. So, fibers of heavy muscles are usually the red muscles which are rich in blood supply and have low metabolic cost, whereas light muscles have anaerobic energy and have high metabolic cost, that is, they can get fatigue easily. The heavy muscles are usually they cross only one joint, whereas the light muscles they can cross two or more joint. So what exactly are the muscles included for the heavy muscles? So they are the proximal muscles, that is the deep tonic neck muscles, the scapular muscles, the rhomboids, minor, major, the rotators. All of these are the proximal muscle, that is the heavy muscles, and the light muscle. So light muscles are usually the distal most muscle, for example triceps, gastrocnemius, flexors or adductors. So the heavy muscles are innervated by the extrapyramidal, vestibulospinal, reticulospinal and the medial motor system, which suggests that the tone is mainly regulated by the output from the motor output from the basal ganglia controlling the tone. And the light muscle, they are more of voluntary or willed under lateral corticospinal and rubrospinal tracts. So there are different types of technique which can be used for facilitation of the heavy and light muscles. We will learn in detail in the further slides. So heavy muscles, as we have discussed, they are the proximal muscle. The main function is the isometric contraction, whereas for light muscles there can be isometric or isotonic contraction. Mainly isotonic contraction will be there. For example, lifting any bottles or to carry out any task, isotonic resistance against the external environment or any object, the light muscles will be working on that. So the muscle innervation, the group heavy muscles are mainly innervated by group 2 or Golgi tendon organs, and the light muscles are innervated by 1A afferent fibers. So now, as we discussed, the heavy muscles are the stabilizers. So which are the heavy muscles? So heavy muscles are usually the extensors and abductors muscles, and they are used for this postural support. Okay, so as per the roots theory, so what is the main principle or the main simple concept in simple words? That is, whenever a sensory input is given, a reflex motor output will be there. So roots believe that the voluntary motor act is based on inherent reflexes. As we all know, there are certain neonatal reflexes which a infant will be borning with them. So whatever stimulus is given, the motor output will be dependent on that reflex. So the pattern of development will be the normal developmental sequence. There is the patient does not proceed to the next level until some of the voluntary control is achieved. That is when the maturation of the reflex center will grow accordingly. If the spinal reflex is mature, it will be proceeding further, and it always follows a cephalocaudal rule. For example, in any baby neonate, whatever milestone will be achieved, it will be based on the cephalocaudal. That is, first the head or neck control will be there, and then it will be progressing distally. So according to the roots, the flexors are first to be stimulated, then the extensors, then adductors, and at last there is the abductor muscles. So the first principle is the tonic neck and labyrinthine reflex can assist or retard the effects of sensory stimulation. So mainly it is focusing on two neonatal reflex. The first is tonic neck reflex and the labyrinthine reflex, the TLR. First we will learn about the tonic neck reflex. So whenever the tonic neck reflex is there, it will be changing the motor response on the basis of the position of the head. So the tonic neck reflex will have a modifying influence on how the extensors or the postural muscles, flexor muscles are activated, and based on that the postural output will be decided. So position of head will be dependent. So how the position of head is how it is identified. So the position of head, as we all know, it is identified by the labyrinthine reflexes in the vestibular centers. So this vestibular centers will be giving the flexors and the extensor muscle a particular contraction and relaxation. Based on that, the motor output will be depended. So what is tonic neck reflex? It is the mainly the symmetrical tonic neck reflex. So what happens in normal symmetrical neck reflex? Whenever patient, whenever an infant, the head is extend, for example, so there will be upper extremity will be going into extension and the lower extremity will be going into flexion, and the vice versa. So whenever there is neck flexion, that is whenever the head is going downward, so there will be the flexion in the upper extremity and extension in the lower extremity. So how is this correlated? So whenever a baby performs a particular neck extension, on the basis of that the upper extremity will be going into extension. So now this reflexes are to be achieved and integrated at certain age. If it persists more than that, then there will be abnormality in the development and milestones may not be achieved. So if they are not integrated, then the persistent reflexes and milestone are not achieved as per the given motor milestone range. So then coming to the ATNR, asymmetrical tonic neck reflex. So the tonic neck in ATNR, mainly there will be the position of the head is rotated to the one side, and on the skull side there will be flexion, and on the head side, face side, there will be extension of the upper and lower extremity. So now, as you can see, there is a given clockwise progression of how a baby from the neutral to the bipedal stands. That is from the supine line to the to standing. It is achieved. Okay? So in that we will begin from position B, that is from neutral position. So in short, this all quadruped progression of the baby will be deciding which TNR or TNR reflex are dominated in which particular position, and based on that there will be motor response. So starting with the position C. In that, the patient is in assume a quadruped position, that is the okay. So in the position C, mainly what happens, if the baby will move his neck in flexion or extension, on the basis of TNR there will be the upper extremity and lower extremity response of flexion and extension, as we discussed. But in this position, the tonic labyrinthine reflex, that is whenever the supine position is there, the extension and the abduction of the upper extremity, that is diminished in this particular position. Then the figure D. In this position, the head is lower from the body, that is the head is lower from the shoulder. So in this position, mainly the extensor muscles will be activated. Then the position E, that is the writing reflex. So writing reflex is anything, for example, you must have seen the rehab patients. They have been training with the writing responses in vestibular ball or in tilt board. The thrust of forward or backward direction is suddenly given, and the patient is asked the patient has to produce a particular movement, a writing movement. In that, for example, if forward fall is there, then the flexion of the shoulder and arm should be there, so that a writing reflex can protect them from falling. So mainly that kind of reflexes will be there in E particular stage. So the next is the F and G figure. In that we can see, in this position, the tonic neck reflex has the neck is going into extension, and the tonic labyrinthine both will be dominated. Next, the figure H, that is above the horizontal. So in this, the patient is in semi-reclining position. The In this position, the tonic labyrinthine neck is less, but the tonic labyrinthine supine is predominated. So as you can see, there is more of an extensor or extension and abduction of the upper extremity is there. So then so mainly we can see that the supine head up positions will be suppressing the tonic neck reflexes. So the according to Roods, if a baby is lying on the affected side, so the on in sideline position, the arm and leg of the downside will exhibit a extensor tone, whereas the upside there will be a flexor tone, that is the asymmetrical tonic neck reflex. So that is all for today. This is just one particular part of ROODS approach, and the basic what all concept and principles are there. So we will continue in the next video. Thank you.